Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about something we all experience, something deeply human, grief. We're going to look at what's actually happening inside our brains when we lose someone we love and how understanding the science behind it might just help us navigate that pain.
You know that feeling, right? If you've ever lost someone close, there's this really strange, powerful feeling where your head knows they're gone, but some part of you, deep down, just keeps expecting them to walk right through that door.
Now that feeling of confusion, it's not you being in denial or a sign of weakness. Not at all. It's actually a window, a direct look into how our brains are fundamentally wired for connection and how they grapple with a problem they were never really built to solve. So let's start there, with how the brain actually maps our world. Think about it like this. Your brain has its own internal GPS, its own Google Maps. And it doesn't just chart places, it charts people. Your loved one isn't just a collection of memories. To your brain, they're a fixed point, a reliable coordinate on your map of life. And this map creates a deep, biological expectation that they'll be there.
And this is the absolute core conflict of grief. When someone dies, it creates this massive clash between two different streams of information. One part of your brain, your conscious memory, knows they're gone forever. But another, deeper part, your ancient, hardwired attachment system, believes they're just somewhere else. It thinks the bond is everlasting. This internal battle makes it incredibly hard for the brain to just operate normally.
So with this internal conflict raging, it gives rise to the main emotion we feel in grief. And here's the thing, it's not just sadness. It's something way more specific. Something that feels like this powerful, almost physical craving.
And that feeling, it has a name. It's called yearning. This isn't just a passive sadness. It's an active motivational state. It's a deep craving for one specific person. And it's driven by the exact same brain systems, the attachment and reward pathways that made us fall in love and bond with them in the first place.
And this is a really important distinction. It's why grief, as painful as it is different from clinical depression. You see, depression tends to feel more global. It casts a shadow over everything. Grief, on the other hand, is a very sharp, specific ache. It's a yearning for one person. If that person magically came back, the grief would vanish. The depression? Maybe not.
And thanks to brain imaging, we can actually see this yearning in action. The brain's reward center, especially a spot called the nucleus accumbens, just lights up. It basically treats the memory of the person we lost as a reward it's desperately trying to get. This creates this really painful loop of intense, unsatisfied craving. The brain is constantly searching for a reunion that logically it knows can never happen.
Okay, so if your brain's map is broken and you're stuck in this constant state of craving, how in the world does it ever get better? Well, the answer is pretty amazing. It learns. Grieving isn't just something you endure. It's an active and, often really difficult form of learning.
First things first, we've got to bust a big myth. You've all heard of the 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, all that, right? Well, it turns out that's a pretty outdated model. Grief just doesn't work like a neat, tidy checklist. The real process is, well, it's a lot messier and a lot more personal.
A much more accurate way to think about it is something called the dual process model. And it's basically like a dance. Healthy grieving involves moving back and forth or oscillating between two things. On one hand, you have the loss-oriented stuff, which is confronting the pain, crying, really processing it. On the other hand, you have restoration, the practical stuff, like paying bills, learning to cook for one, building a new identity. Moving between these two isn't a sign you're stuck. It's actually how you adapt.
And this leads to a really crucial point. We have this saying, time heals all wounds. But that's not quite right. It's not the passive passing of time that heals. It's the accumulation of new experiences in that time. It's waking up 30 mornings in a row without them, making 30 breakfasts for one. Each one of those moments is actively teaching your brain, slowly updating its predictions until this new, painful absence becomes the new reality.
But this learning process doesn't always go smoothly. Sometimes for a smaller group of people, the brain's ability to adapt and learn can get stuck.
For about 1 in 20 people, so around 5%, this natural learning process gets blocked. And this can lead to a condition that's now formally recognized called prolonged grief disorder.
This is diagnosed when that really sharp, piercing pain of early grief just doesn't soften with time. We're talking about intense, persistent yearning and emotional pain that lasts for more than a year and really gets in the way of a person's ability to re-engage with their life.
So what's the difference? What helps people adapt instead of getting stuck? One of the biggest factors seems to be something called emotional flexibility. This basically means having a whole toolkit of responses. It's knowing that it's okay to completely fall apart and cry, but also knowing when you need to put that pain aside for a bit just to get through the day. It's about being able to oscillate, not getting stuck on one side of that dance.
And this brings us to what might be the most profound and, I think, the most comforting idea in all of this neuroscience. Love literally changes our brain. As the neuroscientist Mary Frances O'Connor says, when we bond with someone, it physically rewires us. And when they die, that wiring doesn't just vanish. Our loved ones become a permanent part of our neural architecture. We carry them with us, literally, inside our brains.
So in the end, this science doesn't take the pain of grief away. Of course not. But it can completely change our relationship to it. It reframes the whole experience. Instead of seeing grief as just this passive suffering that we have to endure, we can see it as an active, if really hard, process of learning. And that shift in perspective, it can turn helplessness into an opportunity for compassion, for growth, and for building a new meaningful life, while always carrying the love for the person we lost.